What is going on, everybody? Sean Daniel here with Guitar Control. Today we're talking about 12-bar blues, how you can kind of really grasp that whole progression, and how you can actually start to make up your own patterns with it using single notes. So we're going to do chord versions and single note versions. So you're probably going to want to click the link below to grab the tab. I'm going to tab everything out and get right to it. The blues is all about structure, and the 12-bar blues is the most common structure to do it. So you may have even seen this progression in a lot of different ways, but we're going to do the blues in A. So first we're going to use them with open chords, and then after that we're going to talk about how we can use different patterns to kind of make it sound a little flashier maybe, okay? But first we have to understand what the 12-bar blues is. It's just kind of a way to organize the structure of a song. A lot of blues songs are like this, okay? We only need 3 chords, and they're the 1, the 4, and the 5 in the key of A. So we can always find that out by going to a root note A. The 5th fret on the low E string is an A. Going through the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we just need to know that the root note, the 1, is the 5th fret on the low E string. The 4, 2, 3, 4, is the 5th fret, which is a D on the A string. And the 5 is an E, the 7th note on the A string. 1, 4, 5. So that's how we're going to kind of communicate how this progression is moving, like the 1, the 4 to the 5. All that means is the A to the D to the E. All of this stuff is movable. You could do this in the key of B, which would just be 2 frets higher. 1, 4, 5. Okay? So that's just part of the picture. We're going to get back to this specific area of the guitar in a little bit, but I want to talk about the chords that make up the 12-bar blues in A. All right? So you might think the A major is going to be the 1 chord, which you're right, but something that is really signature of the blues is turning the 1, 4, and 5 chords, which are all major chords, into dominant 7 chords. So instead of having regular A major, we're going to have A7. Really easy to do. It's the 2nd fret. I use my middle finger on the D string and ring finger 2nd fret on the B string. A7, just like the bottom 5 strings. You can even hit all 6 strings if you want. Okay? So that's going to be the first one. Now, if you move this down a string, and then put your pointer finger on the 1st fret of the B string, that is a D dominant 7 chord. Here's D major. D7 is almost like that upside down. Okay? So this is going to be the 4 chord in A. And then the 5 chord is going to be E. So there's E major. All you have to do is just take your ring finger up, and you get an E7. Okay? A7, D7, E7. 1, 4, 5. Alright, so now the structure of this is as follows. We have 4 bars of the first 12 of the 1 chord. There are different ways to do this. This is just what I think is the most common way to do it. 4 bars of 1. So a bar, generally being 4 counts, is going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to go to the 4 chord for 2 bars, which is D7. 1, 2, 3, 4, a 2nd bar. Back to the 1 chord for 2 more bars. 2. The 5 chord for 1 bar. The 4 chord for 1 bar. And then the 1 chord for 2 more bars again. 2, 3, 4. Now, in a lot of songs, blues songs specifically, that 1 chord, the last 2 bars of that 1 chord is going to be replaced with a turnaround of some kind, which we've got a lot of other videos on turnarounds, but this is going to be more about structure and how you can kind of change how that structure sounds, okay? Now, if you're singing and playing along, that is a really great way to kind of just have a musical sound bed for an acoustic singing vocal performance. Just kind of doing this, almost kind of like a lazy rhythm. 3, 2, 3, 4, 4. Not a lot going on. I'm just kind of going down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up 1 chord. Down, 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 up, down, up 5 chord. 4 chord. So, a lot of different things you can do with just that, but that is the open chord way to play the 12-bar blues in A. Now, what might be a little more interesting is to start throwing around different riffs or licks over these chords. So the A7 chord, all right? Let's go back to where we first started on the 5th fret of the low E string, okay? Now what we did there is a dominant 7 chord voicing. You can find the notes and an arpeggio. An arpeggio is where you just play that chord one note at a time. So if we wanted to do an arpeggio starting here, it'd be the first note of the A major scale, the third note, which is the 4th fret on the A string, the 5th note, which is the 7th fret on the A string. So there's a major chord, and then the flat 7. That's what makes it a dominant 7 chord right there, that flattened 7th note right there, which is the 5th fret on the D string. 1, 3, 5, flat, 7. Now we can kind of create a bit of a riff out of this because we have 4 notes, and remember we said there were 4 beats in each of those bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So let's make a riff of just the notes in that chord. Maybe instead of playing every beat one time, let's play 2 times per beat. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I'm just going through an arpeggio of that shape. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's my new bar. I can do this 4 times in a row just to replace the A7 chord that we had up here. So you can kind of already notice that the chord of it and the riff, which we made from an arpeggio, sound kind of the same, but it's a totally different vibe, right? You can kind of still hear there's an A7-ness going on there. 2, 3, 4. You can really kind of get, as fancy with that as possible if you just think of those 4 notes. You can really add anything that you want to around those. This is just kind of a very convenient example of using the notes inside that A7 chord to make a little bit of a riff out of, all right? One of the really the simplest one that we could possibly make just by going up the notes in the chord 4 times. Now we're gonna go to the next chord, which was the 4 chord, that D7. Without even knowing the notes that consist of a D7 chord, we can just root that shape and do the exact same thing. It's a movable shape, right? So now the 5th fret on the E string is our first note, because even though we're still thinking of it in A, the notes that make up a D7, D dominant 7 chord are the same shape. That's the beautiful thing about playing in guitar is all these shapes are movable, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be our new bar for D's spot, the 4 chord spot in the progression. So we just play that 2 times. 1, 2. And then we go back to the 1 chord. I'm still going to call it the 1 chord, even though I'm not playing it as a chord. Then we're going to go to the 5, which remember, the 7th fret on the the A string, which is the E note, is the 5. Exact same shape. 1. Just the 1 bar there. Back to D and then back to A. Okay, so we have that 1. We'll call this a shape, right? Just middle finger, pointer down a string, back a fret, pinky 3 frets higher, middle finger 2 frets back down another string. That's going to be kind of our shape. And we're going to replace the chords in that progression with it. So again, 12 bar blues, 4 times around on the 1 chord. 1, bar number 2, 3, 4, to the 4 chord, which is just down a string. Again, there's only 2 bars of this. Back to 2 bars of the 1 chord. To the 5, to the 4, to the 1. And then let's go to the chords. D7, E7, D, A7, switch to the single notes. So ultimately, you might want to start mixing and matching these, and that actually could be kind of just a fun exercise just to practice it. Whether it sounds good or not, is really how musical it is up to you, but it's just kind of giving you the framework of the 12 bar blues you can kind of get creative with. So maybe the first bar you want to do the chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. A7, A7 riff. D7, D7 riff. Back to A7. To A7, A7. Okay, so that is just a super basic example of how to maybe start making up your own riffs and you move them around in a blues-inspired way. A lot of rock songs actually kind of use different things. Like if you've ever seen maybe like a riff of something in a rock song, and then it moves down a string, and that same riff goes up a string. That's all from the 12-bar blues, because really, the 1 to the 4 to the 5. All kind of comes from that same movement, okay? So, hopefully you kind of got some ideas about maybe making up your own riffs, because again, this isn't about playing it how I'm playing it or how anybody else is playing it. It's about using your own creativity and kind of just seeing the framework behind this, and then just kind of getting out to jamming and really adding your own special sauce to it. So definitely let us know what you think in the comment section, and any kind of feedback you have, we're always open to it. Also, make sure to check out some of these other videos from myself and other great instructors that you'll find all over the channel. Always looking for your feedback and comments, maybe other suggestions for types of videos that you'd like to see. And really maybe even just comment down below with what some of your favorite variations are of the blues patterns that we went over in this video. So hopefully I will hear from you guys soon, and I will talk to you even sooner. Thanks a lot.